Here lies Dobby, a free elf. Yesterday, I decided to spend the afternoon sketching. This video is a small playlist of chilled out music and the occasional commentary of me talking through the creative process of bringing Dobby to life. This is inspired by the ASMR and journaling videos I've been watching recently and designed for you to sit back and either sketch along with me or simply relax and enjoy the music whatever the time of day. Quick note, I haven't studied art since sixth form, so a lot of this is me freestyling and doodling to see what comes out when I put pen to paper. I'll learn the proper forms and guidelines of how to better structure faces and features one day, but for now, this is a casual drawing paying tribute to one of my favourite characters, Dobby.
Before time had come, like a storm I raged that night. In the dark I came undone.
I realised that the nose was actually a bit too small, so I'm kind of just going over it with a few strokes and then extending the nose, the nostril on the outside. But yeah, normally I just like to work on small features at a time and then add in the shadows and the lines as I go on.
We were standing in the freezing rain. Honey, how could I forget? In the distance were the warning bells, but I knew that you weren't caving yet. I will hold this house up with my own two hands, so you
that I am basing it on, a happy Dobby, and then this is what I've got so far. I think the ears are a little bit fatter than actually what he has, and I didn't quite have his eyes look up at the same angle, but I think it still has a kind of familiar and similarity to what the original picture is. Time for another update 10 minutes later. So the face is kind of coming along. I realized that I actually made his face look a little bit thinner, and actually in the picture it looks a little bit rounded at the edges and a little bit more plump, because it kind of shows you it's a little bit more wistful, happy. So yeah, I've decided to add in a few strokes on the edge of his face and kind of stroked it in so it looks a bit like a shadow. Also added in a little bit of the hairs on his head, and I feel like the eyes are starting to really take shape. One mistake that I always do is I end up over shading everything, so everything looks a bit more like a chaos of lines and stuff. So I'm going to really try and distinguish the rags as opposed to getting it confused with the lines and shadows on his face. So I really love biros because I feel like I am really clumsy when it comes to pencil drawings, because my hand just smudges it everywhere. And when I used to draw with like charcoal and pencil, I used to get so annoyed with you know, the line of like pencil on my hand here, and then it smudges all over the drawing. So from like, I don't know, when I was 14, 15, I really started to like just drawing with ink and pen. you know, there's a much more of a chance for you to mess things up. So you have to be really, really careful, which is why I don't really like drawing with harsh lines. And when I go further in, you see that a lot of the lines I do are very, very soft, and there's usually a lot of overlapping lines, and I'm still sketching but with a pen. If you are starting out, it would be so much easier if you first sketch everything out in pencil and then went over it with pen, and then you know exactly where the proportions are, you can rub things out and go over it. But I really, really don't like drawing with pencil. Maybe I'll start it back up again in the future, but right now I just really like the challenge of going straight in with the pen. I feel like through doing that, it really forces me to improvise a lot better and to kind of like make use of what I've got, as opposed to being tempted to rub things out and keep reworking the same part. I like the idea of if something doesn't go right, that I can make it right in my own way. So it's a really, really good challenge. I mean, it's not 100% like Dobby. When I first started it, it was really hard. I mean, like the ears are definitely a lot smaller because Dobby's ears are a lot more like triangular, a bit more shape to his face, and this one is a lot more smaller. But maybe this could be like Dobby's cousin or something, Dilly.
I hold my keys too tightly in my pocket. I walk into the room. You're sleeping and it's quiet. I want to know what force holds this together. I want to feel the faith, but hold it at a distance. I want to know the truth about my life. Surrounded by the ordinary sorrow of just being here. Sleeping in the hospital and walking in the corridor.
Okie dokie, we are on to the shading part. So this is the part where I normally go a little bit overboard and I end up adding way too many lines and shadows because I just get really, really into shading. But yeah, right now we've kind of aged Dobby a bit, kind of adding all of the shadows and things. I've defined the eyes a bit more, so it's a bit darker and there's a bit more like energy to his eyes. But if you look really closely, it is basically just a series of a lot of haphazardly shaded lines, a lot of lines going on all around the eyes and the nose and the bridge area, just to kind of create a lot of shadow where the light hits him, as you see in the picture. It is mostly just going off over the same parts over and over and just shading it.
I want to feel your face in darkness just beside me. I want to know the silence my life keeps.
Might add something in the background lightly, just so it kind of like defines where he is, as opposed to having him just like plonked on the piece of paper. They kind of like blends into the background a little bit more. It is just a series of me just doing a lot of lines over and over again until something takes shape. update. So I've decided to sketch a little bit of the background just so he is situated in a place that isn't just a blank sheet of paper. So I've tried to do the arch, as you can see here, but just kind of a rough sketch. So I'm starting to do the arch here and then just kind of shadow, cross hatching everything so it looks a bit more blended. And then I've just really lightly cross hatched the background so it doesn't take away from Dobby. But yeah, I think it's coming together really well. Just realised that he's looking up as opposed to cocking his head to the side, but we're just gonna have to work with it. This is Dibby instead of Dobby. Dibby, the cousin who is off on an adventure. Okie dokie, so this is the final product. I am pretty pleased with it. It's taken me about an hour and a half in total, hour 45 minutes. I definitely could have spent a little bit longer on like this portion of sketching, which I might actually like just go in and just kind of cross hatch a little bit. It's always a little bit rough when it comes to the background, but this is where I probably would try to incorporate some pencil drawings and stuff and shading, just so it kind of helps to lift this and have this as a focus more, and then have the pencil like blend in and smudged in the background. Here's a closer look of Dobby, and then kind of like the cross hatch and the lines that I did. Pretty rough with it. I'm not a very delicate person, but really pleased with that for an afternoon's worth of drawing, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up for more videos like this, because I know it is a very different type of video. If you'd like me to draw something else next that's not people, because I've not worked up to that stage, then please let me know what you would like to see next, and I will try my best to make sure that happens. If you'd like to see more of this, or I could move this into Instagram. See you next time. Bye bye.